welcome to highlights of this year's 4th grade final between Mosman and Sutherland, played at the Kensington Oval. Mosman finished first and Sutherland second during the minor round, and their match was washed out. So this final really meant that they had something to prove. Mosman won the toss and decided to bat. Conditions were perfect, and it was David Fordham to take strike for Mosman, and the Sutherland left-hander Harvey was opening the bowling. Keep your eye on David Fordham. This is one of the briefest appearances since Andrew Hilditch played his last test for Australia.
Mosman couldn't have started in worse fashion. Harvey traps Fordham leg before wicket for a duck off the second ball of the innings. Harvey greeted Hyland with a short one, and he responded by planting him high over square leg for 4. From the other end, Jones found young Jason Gallian's edge, but the chance went begging in the slips cordon. After an impressive half-century in the semi-final, Gallian celebrated his let-off with a neat deflection for 2. But a century crusher from Harvey had the youngster all at sea. And as Harvey contemplated his next delivery, young Gallian got some words of wisdom from the seasoned campaigner Hyland. The veteran Merv Black replaced Jones from the southern end, and Gallian relished the change of pace. And this filled in the covers by Sutherland skipper Tom Easton allowed Hyland yet another boundary. And Gallian showed some aggression with this pull shot of Black as Mosman staged their recovery. But Merv Black struck with the first ball after drinks. Gallian departed at 2 for 52. New batsman Guy Mankey, despite an injured elbow, started in typical style with a crashing cover drive. And another. And when Hyland played this savage square cut off Black, he didn't bother even running. Mankey also showed that he can score on either side of the wicket. A change of bowling, Coleman to Hyland. Then it was the hard-hitting Mankey's turn. He continued his assault on Black. And then on Coleman. Hyland's 50 came up in just 65 minutes with 6 boundaries. Mankey's was even quicker as the century partnership was posted in just 68 minutes. Mankey's 60 included 10 fours and a 6, but a rash shot off young Tony Hale off the last ball before lunch saw Mankey depart. Mosman 3 for 154. Hyland continued on after lunch on his way to a very valuable 81. But the young 14-year-old spinner Hale struck another vital blow as Hyland holed out to Wren in the deep. Maybe the end of the road for the club's leading run-getter Barry Hyland, the end of a great career. But worse to come. Next ball, Lee Della goes caught behind by Lamb off Hale, although he didn't seem all that impressed. Tony Reid, promoted for the final, set about arresting Mosman's turmoil in the middle order. And Steve Wilmot matched his skills with Merv Black. Slowly, Reid and Wilmot kept the scoreboard ticking. Wilmot finally hit out, trying to break up the close infield. Their partnership yielded just 15, but every run was vital. Finally, Black got rid of Wilmot, who played on for just 7. And next ball, Sean Skinner fell LBW. Mosman 5 for 181 and Merv Black on a hat-trick. And Steve Chitty obliged Black with his 3rd hat-trick in a 30-year career. But it seemed to be all too much for wicketkeeper Ken Land. But a great moment for Merv Black in possibly his last match.
Well, Merv, this is hat-trick number 3. What recollections have you got of the other two?
Well, the other two, Dave, was the first game for Cumberland in third grade against Mosman at Mosman Oval. It was a few years ago, 1956-57. It was 7th and 8th ball of the previous over and the first ball the next over. And then I think the next one was 74-75 against Mosman in first grade at Rawson Oval. And then the other one, which was Saturday.
So it'd be fair to say you're not all that unhappy playing against Mosman?
Oh, I've got to play against them every couple of weeks.
Merv, I believe there was one other hat-trick that went astray again against Mosman.
Yeah, that was no names, no pactual as far as the umpire is concerned, but it was the year after I'd taken the first grade one in 74-75, and we were back at Mosman Oval, and Ian Napper was the captain, and I said to Ian on the way out in the car, I said, what are the chances for a hat-trick today? He said, 200 cans to 1. So anyway, as the game went on, and it's in progress, and they were 7 down, they needed about 30 or 40 runs to win, and Ian said, better have a bowl. So at that stage again, they were still 8 ball overs, and 2 or 3 balls had passed. So anyway, this young bloke, the two Weatherden boys were playing, and the first one in got an edge. Al Campbell took the catch behind, and they were 8 down. The other Weatherden boy came in, and he got another nick. Alan Campbell took the catch. So I turned around to Ian, and he was white as your shirt, and he said, I'm not well. So anyway, come in again, and Sandy Ratcliffe's number 10, or 11, whatever the case was, and he gets a big edge, so there's a no-ball call. It wasn't for my fault of mine, but it was Brian O'Dowd had his foot in the cut portion of the wicket. So anyway, as it turned out, Sandy got a nick again. Alan Campbell took the catch behind, so it was 4 on the trot. But missed the hat-trick, so Ian Napper was relieved, so he saved himself 200 cans. And I did make a statement to one of the umpires, if it was anyway close, I'll go your halves. And he said, I don't drink. I said, you can always sell them. But I won't mention the umpire.
Tony Reid watched from the other end while the 3 wickets fell, but despite Black's hat-trick, Reid's confidence wasn't eroded. He found a solid ally in keeper Richard Sarkis. The score crept to 193 for 8 as Mosman pondered on their change of fortunes in the second session. Sarkis gave them some glimmer of hope with his classic back cut. But just as they were getting on top, Reid was well caught by Lamb off young Hale for 13. Which left the job for skipper Lee Clapham and Sarkis for the last wicket stand. Clapham oozed confidence. He then thumped Coleman down the ground as the vital last wicket stand added 30. Clapham needed only a not out for the club's batting average, but an old-fashioned full toss from Harvey proved his undoing, and Mosman's innings ended at 223. Sutherland's start was nearly as disastrous as Mosman's. Coleman, a century maker in the first round against Mosman, goes for 2. But skipper Tom Eyston, despite the bad start, took up the challenge. He was helped by a Barry Highland misfield at mid-off, a rather unusual sight, but 3 more to the Sutherland skipper. Della to Eyston, and he crashes one right over cover for 6. The left-hander Skinner gets similar treatment from the other end. The scorers, Ron Davies and Kathy Colley, worked overtime, keeping up with his swashbuckling innings. Della tried to knock him right out of business. But Eyston was equally intent on knocking the Mosman bowlers out of the attack. Harvey at the other end was just the silent partner in their stand of 73. However, Eyston was still supplying the fireworks in a great knock. Even Skinner's attempted bouncer held no fears for the Cavalier opener. Harvey, meantime, kept the scoreboard ticking over with a series of deflections. His only full-blooded shot saw Chitty spill a difficult chance at backward square leg. David Fordham had pulled a hamstring, but it could not have come from running between wickets. Chitty to Eyston, and the start of a costly over as Eyston posted a great half-century that had put Mosman right on the defensive after their early breakthrough. His innings was dotted with 8 boundaries and a 6. But as he's done so often this season, Chitty bounced back as Tony Reeds holds a screamer at short leg. Undaunted, Eyston continued his onslaught. But eventually he miscued off Della, and opposing captain Clapham holds the catch at mid-on. Then down came the rain, and that coupled with bad light, play was abandoned for the day. With Sutherland 3 for 87, the game was in the balance, still 136 runs in arrears. And play was delayed on the second day. However, it gave young 14-year-olds Tony Hale and Jason Gallion a chance to meet one of Australia's great all-rounders, Alan Davidson. But some found other ways to fill in the day as a decision was being made on when play would start. However, judging from Sutherland's dressing room, there were no limits to their stakes. But if play didn't resume, they had more to lose. Eventually, after several inspections, umpires Tom Brooks and Michael Jay agreed play would start at 4:15, leaving Sutherland with 24 overs to get the required 136 for victory. And for Ken Lamb, his injured leg suggested he may struggle when it was his turn to bat. Mosman had the job to contain Sutherland, who still had 7 wickets in hand as they began their chase. However, they started disastrously. Graham brilliantly run out for a duck by Wilmot's throw, 4 for 88. Things could have been worse. Della spills a return catch. And Rynn survives this run-out chance, although he looked well short of his ground. Smith looked confident as he and Rynn added 22 for the 5th wicket. Eventually, Della saw Rynn on his way with an off-cutter, Sutherland 5 for 110. Then Jones fell victim to another sharp piece of fielding from Wilmot, leaving umpire Tom Brooks in no doubt. The injured Ken Lamb wasn't about to give up without a fight. But on 9, he holed out to Steve Chitty in the deep, and Sutherland was struggling. New batsman Harvey turned Della to fine leg, but a brilliant throw from Jason Gallion found him well short of his ground on his 2nd run. And at the other end, Skinner gave both the batsman and keeper Richard Sarkis something to think about in the failing light. He got Smith soon after, as Sutherland slumped further into a hole. But the veteran Merv Black, the hat-trick hero, chimed in with a brisk, if not sometimes unorthodox, 19. He even refused the offer of light. Merv wanted to see it out in possibly his last match. He greeted Highland's entry into the attack with scant respect. But he did show respect for his elders. At the other end, young Tony Hale showed commitment and confidence, belying his 10 to 14 years. He remained 4 not out. However, the end was nigh. Black lashed out at Chitty, and when Della held the catch, Mosman had the title. It was to be their first in 10 years, and the victory Sherpas were sweet. Just reward for not having lost a match in the entire season. Association President Alan Davidson made the presentation.
Whether it's a test match, whether it's a first grade or a 4th grade cricket match, when you come to a final, there is something special about it. Let's face it that it was unfortunate because we couldn't get on the ground, But on the other hand, I think you'll all agree that you've both played wonderful cricket. I think the excitement even of that last hour was something that I think you'll all treasure for a long, long time. And I hope you'll all remember too that it is a wonderful game. It's played, you know, by young fellows such as Merv Black, who I believe has played his last game today. Merv might be 48 years young, but I think really that's the best way to describe it, because he is still young at heart and he wants to offer something to cricket. To all the people that participated in this game, I'd just like to congratulate them. I'm delighted to meet a couple of young players, one who's taken 49 wickets in the Sutherland team in his first year at the age of 14, and a young fella that's... And also to a young boy that played with Mosman also, that I believe has occupied the crease for about 16 and a half hours already this year. There's our future, and I think this is the great thing, that the lower grades do provide that opportunity for young players to play with older experienced players, and at the same time, who knows that one day they may go on to the very big heights that everyone hopes for. And of course, in my case, I really, at the age of 14, I was convinced I was going to play for Australia. I just hope they have the same ambition. But to you, Lee, this is your day. The Reed Cup, I might add, and this is a really magnificent old cup. It was presented to the association when it was known as the New South Wales Cricket Union way back in 1890-91, and by John Reed, Esquire, and I think you'll all agree, and I think the lovely old fella up here, he's even got the mustachio and everything else. It's really something. But to you, Lee, to your team, congratulations. I know that it's a great honour to win any competition, and I know all your boys are very proud of it also. Thank you.
One great thing about cricket is whether the competitor that you're playing against is 14 or 48, they still give it their best shot, and I think that last partnership sort of epitomised that. One thing I would like to say to the Sutherland team is that this game has probably been played in the best spirit of any game that we played this year, and we really respect you for that. Thank you very much.
Just on behalf of the Sutherland Club and the Sutherland fourth grade side, I'd like to congratulate Mosman on winning. Obviously it was disappointing from our point of view the way things turned out today, but nevertheless you've won the trophy, and as minor premiers I get to a certain degree, you know, you finished higher than us. You haven't lost a game all season, so to a certain extent you do deserve it. I certainly reciprocate your comments about the spirit of the game. It was played in a very good spirit. We've had a couple of not so good games ourselves, so we certainly appreciated that too. Once again, congratulations, and we'll be in there trying to win it back from you next year.
The stars of the Mosman win were Barry Hyland and Guy Mankey with their century partnership. And Lee Della's 4-wicket haul to become the club's leading wicket-taker for the 85-86 season. Sutherland's heroes were the veteran Merv Black with his hat-trick and young Tony Hale. And Tom Eyston's flamboyant innings will be long remembered in a losing side. But 1985-86 was to be the year of the Whales from Mosman Middle Harbour.